This video is going to be perfect for the seller that hasn't started selling or that just started, maybe been a few months, and you want to become successful on Amazon. There's so much information out there. Half of it is bullshit, to be honest. And I just want to talk about the things, in my opinion, what will make you a successful Amazon seller. For you guys that don't know me, my name is Anthony Mancini. I do around $60,000 in sales. I'm planning on getting blasted past 100,000 before December, and then who knows what December we're going to do. And I've been selling on Amazon for over 2 years. I just want to give you guys as much information as I can. So let's just get right into it. First thing I think that you need to become a successful Amazon seller is consistency. What a boring answer, but it's true. You coming to this video, I don't know if you were expecting some secret sauce that I'm going to give you the keys to success and you're just going to be able to cruise to success. That's not it. Going to be boring answers, but they're going to be truthful, and I'm going to go a little bit deeper into it, right? So why consistency? Obviously, consistency is important. If you're not consistent in anything in life, you're not going to be impressive in any single way. But why consistency plays a big role is because it's easy to be consistent once you're making $300 a day, $200 a day, plus $1,000 a day, right? Who wouldn't be consistent in that aspect? It's like the guy who's working out and who's already jacked. Who wouldn't be consistent if you're already in the phase you want to be? But don't you hear that the classic saying, it's about the journey, not about the destination? Well, it's true, right? I think I went in my 2 years of selling on Amazon, I don't think there was one day where I haven't thought about Amazon. I swear. And for these past 2 years, every single day I've thought about Amazon. And that's the type of dedication it takes to get to the point of success. But when you're making $5, $10, heck, you're losing $100 because of returns at the beginning because your sales are not necessarily there, but you still have to pay for softwares. That's when it's hard to be consistent. It's hard to be consistent when you're not ungated in the majority of products and you have a very small ASIN pool to really learn from. That's when it's hard to be consistent. And that's where it's the most important part. You have to go 1 year eating shit. All right. Now, don't get me wrong. You see it on Twitter. You see it on YouTube. There's people that will be able to sell in their first 4 months. They're going to find the keys to success and they're going to be able to flourish and make all kinds of profits. Yes, that's true. That happens for everything, right? For every field, you're going to have fast learners. The thing about Amazon is I really think that anybody could do it. They just need to put in the work. They need to eat shit for the first year, really learn the game, learn Keepa, learn what brands you're actually ungated in, and then slowly but surely you'll get ungated naturally in other brands. And that segues to my second point, right? So the first thing is you need to be consistent. Like, boring answer, but it's true. And it's more so you need to be extra consistent when things feel like they're not going well. And this whole Amazon journey was just a fraud and the guru got you online, right? That in that moment, that's when you got to go, no, people are actually making money with this. Anthony's actually making money with this. It's possible. I'm telling you, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to succeed at this business. You just need to put in the work. Think about it this way. When you started your job, assuming that you have a job right now, I'm willing to assume in your first 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, heck, the whole year, you are significantly worse than your year 4, year 5, year 6 performance onwards, even year 3, right? In my opinion, in my old workplace, my 5th year versus my first year, I was a dumbass. And that's the same thing you're going to go with Amazon, right? And if you're going to quit before a year, you weren't meant for Amazon, right? Second point, ungating. Why ungating, right? I talked about it in the consistency. It's really hard at the beginning when you're not ungated in a lot of products, in a lot of ASINs, a lot of brands. So what's the number one thing people do? I used to coach, and every 100% of the people that I would teach, including people that I would just want to help out on Twitter or family or people that want to start, they all tell me the same thing. How do I get ungated on more products? Do you think it's worth ungating this brand? What website can I use to ungate this brand? Let's stop talking about ungating, right? I know there's the big market at ungating Nike and going all in on Nike for US sellers. For Canadian sellers, it might be a little bit different. But there's not one brand that will change your life. There could be a brand that effectively changes the landscape of your business for a few months because the profit. But most brands, most ASINs end up dying. That's just the way, the lifestyle of OA. They die and they come back, and they die and they come back. But one brand, 5 brands won't make you a good seller, right? The consistency that you put for a whole year eating shit, knowing how to reprice, what's a good product, what's the sales cycles, what are websites that are not going to cancel you, all these micro things that are so hard to think about on the top of your head, you need to learn by the back of your hand, and that's going to take at least a year, right? So why not ungate, Anthony? If I find all these profitable products, shouldn't I just ungate the brand? Yes. I did this too. I tried to ungate brands. I did ungate brands. But at the end of the day, I might have found those 2 ASINs that were profitable, but the brand itself wasn't game changer to the point where I was only carrying that brand. And if anything, it's just a waste of time. It's a waste of capital. It's in my opinion, a total waste. Just focus on what you have in front of you and the brands that you have in front of you. And if you can't find ASINs doing that, using Keep a Product Finder or storefront stocking, whatever your sourcing method is, you're not going to succeed on Amazon, right? So don't try to shortcut things. Do this the right way and the long way, and have the brands that are assigned to you and grow with them. And then slowly more and more brands will be naturally ungated. I rarely come across a gated brand these days that are ungateable, right? Because there are some brands that are straight up restricted. But most brands I'm ungated. And I even made a switch. I'm a Canadian seller, started selling in the US. It's now a whole new batch of brands that are gated. Brands that I'm ungated in Canada can't sell in the US. Who cares? I just had the brands that I had, and I grew this way, and now naturally I'm getting ungated more and more brands. That's what I think you should do, right? So now you need consistency. You need not to fall into an ungating trap, and learning with the brands that you have. And then that comes to my next point, the importance of starting small to avoid expensive mistakes, right? Because let's just say you do get lucky, or screw lucky. You are naturally talented at this Amazon thing. You are able to read Keepa graphs like a ninja, and you're able to pinpoint arbitrage opportunities in the market, and you're making all kinds of profit. But that's when confidence can actually be detrimental to you, because there will be a day where if you didn't put in reps and you didn't make mistakes, smaller mistakes, that you're going to make a big mistake that can absolutely put a crowbar in your wheels and you're going to go flying off your bike. Because when you're making small orders at the beginning, because you're still learning this business, you'll order 10 of a unit and then realize, oh, wow, this isn't actually the same unit. There's something I didn't notice, and it was a shampoo with vitamin E instead of vitamin D, right? And you miss that. And guess what? For whatever reason, you can't return it. Well, 10 units at $15, it's a $150 loss. You write it off and you sell it on Marketplace or eBay, and you just try to recoup some funds. No big deal. But when you're doing that, and whether it's wholesale or large scale OA, and you're ordering 100, 200, 300, 400 units, and then you can't return it, that's when you start having to spend 4, 5, 6, 7,000 locked up into one ASIN that you can't even sell, right? You don't want to be in that place, because once you start growing and you start taking on debt, well, cash flow becomes and that's going to get a little bit complicated. So I don't want to get too much into the depth, but cash flow becomes so important that having an $6,000, $7,000 worth of an ASIN in your house that you can't sell and you can't return is going to be huge and can literally bankrupt your business. All right. So that's another thing. Learning how to really starting small is so important, because you're going to make mistakes, and those mistakes will be recoverable, and it won't be a big deal, and it will teach you the fundamentals to not make those same mistakes when you're a big seller investing a lot of money in each ASINs. All right. So now, again, we're consistent. We're not falling into ungating traps. We're starting small, making sure that we're learning all the fundamental mistakes that you can make at the beginning, and we're on our way to becoming a successful seller. I'm telling you, if you do this for 1 year and just stick to these things, right? You're going to become successful. But then you're going to run into the point of capital problems. Because certainly as a newer seller, whether you started or you're thinking of starting, capital usually isn't the first thing you're going to go all in on, right? You might invest $1,000, $2,000. Maybe you're feeling excited and you're going to invest $10,000, right? That $10,000 can be spent in one day eventually, right? So you need to learn in that first year the proof of concept and the confidence of, if I buy 10 of these, I'm selling all 10. And my decisions based off of Keepa are actually true. And now I have the confidence to replicate this at a higher scale of 50, 70, 100, 200, 300, and it grows depending on the ASIN and the Keepa graph. But you now need to find capital to support the confidence that you have. Because if you want to be a successful Amazon seller, you need to sell a lot of inventory. And to sell a lot of inventory, you need to buy that inventory and you need to find a way to get that. So whether that is loans through family and friends, loans through banks, credit cards, lines of credit, there are multiple ways of getting access to capital, but you need to find a way to access capital if you want to be a successful seller after a year. It's a non-negotiable, because you can absolutely start with $5,000 and reinvest every single penny, but it will still take you many months before you're making enough to make this full-time. You need to acquire capital somehow. And that a little bit ties into, if you're at the point where you want to get more capital and really start buying, I would say, over $15,000, $20,000 a month in inventory, you absolutely need an accountant. You absolutely need a CPA accountant and a bookkeeper. And you absolutely need to open up either a corporation, depending where you are, if you're in Canada or US. You either need to open up a corp in Canada or sole proprietor. That's an accountant that's going to tell you this. This is why you need one so bad. And in the States, you open up an LLC or whatever it is you have over there, but you need this. Don't think you're going to run I did this mistake, guys. This is why I'm so passionate about this. If you're going to run a multi-million-dollar sales operation, how are you expecting to do that without an official company and without an official accountant, without an official bookkeeper? Oh, yeah, your VA is going to do that for $1 million worth of sales? Please, get serious, all right? Well, you're at the point now where things are grooving, you're getting confident. Don't waste time. Spend the money on an accountant. It's also going to help you acquire more capital if your financials are done right, and you also have an accountant to guide you in that direction, right? So see where I'm kind of like going with this? I'm not giving you any tips on sourcing. I'm not giving you any tips on that, because those are going to be learned through the year. I do nothing different than what I teach students, yet I have bigger results. Why? Time, and more time. It becomes just second nature reading a Keepa graph, right? And then learning, okay, the confidence on spending capital. And I started small and I made mistakes when I was smaller. And I did all those ungating BS and I realized that it wasn't important, right? And the final thing, and the graduating and becoming a bigger seller, is learning how to go deep. Now you're at the point where you have the capital, you made your mistakes, you're over a year in Amazon, you're confident and you want to become a bigger seller, you want to become successful. Well, let's go. We're buying 100 ASINs at a time. We're buying 200 ASINs at a time. And then whether you're going with a prep center or you're doing prep in-house, well, you have a full operation up and running and going because you learned slow. Now, I know I'm not going to make this video super long because it's not that complex. It's a straight up answer. Hopefully you stayed until the end. But that's what it takes to become a successful Amazon seller. Seriously, it's as easy as that. Capital, confidence, consistency, and just learning how to go deep and be confident in your own judgment. All right? So that was this week's video. Hopefully I'll post one next week. Leave it down in the comments. If you have any suggestions on videos and topics that you want to learn about, probably do a video on VAs next week if nobody else comments. All right? Ciao, boys.